Good evening, everyone. This is the fifth and final installment of the Community Conversations. I'm so happy to be here in District 1 with Council President Angie Friedson and Pete Fosselman, our Regional Services Center Director. Thank you all so much for being here. Hopefully you've had time to acquaint yourselves with our incredible nonprofits who have been here. A lot of them have been at every single one of our 5 Regional Service Center community conversations, so great to see them again. On your table, you have a QR code. We're going to ask you to scan that QR code at the end of this event to provide feedback. There's also some name tags, so everyone at the table knows each other. Get comfortable. We're going to be answering some questions, and we want you all to work together. So identify someone who will take notes and someone who will be the reporter at your table. For those who don't know who I am Laurie-Anne Sayles, Councilmember at Large. I serve on the Health and Human Services Committee and the newly created Economic Development Committee. It's one of the largest committees on the Montgomery County Council out of our 7 committees. I'm also the lead for eliminating disparities, which is so important following the pandemic that we had, and it's important that we continue to tackle disparities in our county. All right, so before we get started, I did want to thank all of the stakeholders and partners who have played a role in ensuring that these meetings happened seamlessly all across the county. As I mentioned, this is the 5th and final. I've been working with all of our regional service office directors, police commanders, chambers of commerce, other county officials, such as MCPS, the Department of Recreation, Health and Human Services, and WorkSource Montgomery to set up these conversations. I'd also like to thank my team. You cannot do anything alone. And so thank you to my team, my Chief of Staff, Victoria. Thank you, Ezra, my Legislative Director, and Joseph and Sierra are somewhere around here. All right, come on in, have a seat, find a seat. As I mentioned, the resource tables that we have here, we have resource tables from WorkSource Montgomery, Department of Rec, MoCo Empower, Maryland's Office of the Attorney General, the Latino Health Initiative, the African American Health Program, the Children's Opportunity Alliance, Crittenden's Opportunity Alliance, Crittenden Services of Greater Washington, Interfaith Works, Community Reach, NAMI of Montgomery County, Gap Busters, and PEPCO. Let's give a hand to our nonprofits. Thank you so much for being here. And so as you can see from the graphics, this is going to be our last event, and we'll be sending out detailed information and feedback following this event about next steps and how we will debrief, and also be calling on you to help inform the policies moving forward based on what we've learned and all the feedback that we've received at these meetings. Okay, so this evening's format from 6 to 8, we're going to try and get you out of here on time. So we will have a timer. Please pay attention to the red cards that we will use to count down. I will start with a brief presentation just to share some statistics, set the tone for the evening. Then we will hear from our Regional Services Center Director. We'll hear from Council President Friedson, and then we will start with our first panel on community safety, then youth engagement, and finally with business and community partnerships. Our stakeholders will update us on their work across each topic area for about 10 minutes. Then we will allocate 10 minutes for table conversations. And then we will ensure that we hear from each of our tables. But please record your responses on the papers that you have there. We put pens there, and we will be collecting them at the end. All right, so thank you. Before we go any further, we will be sharing some sensitive information, and so I did want to warn you before we get started that we will be talking about suicide, gun violence, substance abuse, and overdoses. All right. So nationally, crime rates have fallen since 2020 to a 50-year low in Montgomery County. However, in Montgomery County, for the third straight year in a row, crime has been on a rise. Early estimates from this past year alone show that crime rates have gone down, but there is still a significant concern from our residents as we aim to create and foster safer, more vibrant communities. In Montgomery County, juvenile-related violent crimes have increased 95% since 2019, and robberies specifically increased 108%, according to 2023 data from the Montgomery County Police Department. And with schools out for summer, we know that we are even more prone to experience these incidents. Furthermore, did you know, by a show of hands, how many of you know that Baltimore is in the process of building one of the most expensive capital projects in our state's history? All right, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, don't cheat. You were here at the other ones. Okay. With an estimated completion date of 2029, Maryland will spend $1 billion over 5 years to build a new prison. And operating costs exceed $100 million a year, $443 million more than initial estimates. Also at the state level, the General Assembly recently passed a bill that will take effect this November that extends the juvenile justice system to youth as young as 10 years old. If they are arrested for a serious offense. And these alarming statistics show the urgency of these conversations and immediate action. We know that according to 2023 data, the gun violence has continued to be on the rise. In our school system alone, we're going to note chronic absenteeism and truancy. 1 in 5 students in Montgomery County are chronically absent. Rates decrease in K through 8 and increase in high school. We also know that those lead to significant gaps in achievement and literacy rates, especially for our Black and brown students who are still performing at or below the benchmark for literacy rates. MCPS's 2023 graduation rates decreased 71 percentage points to 89.63 from 90.34 in the 2021-22 school year. As our future workforce, these numbers cannot be sustainable. We need to engage our students early and often in academic achievement activities so they can continue to do well and be marketable to the businesses we are attracting here. Youth substance abuse, we know that opioid addiction is on the rise. Our Department of Health and Human Services has worked diligently to make Narcan more accessible to schools and community residents. Youth suicidality, which includes suicidal thoughts, plans, and attempts, increased from 2011 to 2021. Over the past decade, it has affected over 22% of our high school students and disproportionately impacting Black youth versus their Asian, Hispanic, or white peers. According to 2020 census data, Maryland is the 4th most diverse state in the country. And Montgomery County's diversity index is the highest. Thus, it's especially important. This month, we recently recognized Minority Mental Health Month at the council, that we provide culturally competent resources and services to address mental health challenges. Regarding job opportunities, economic development here in Montgomery County is different post-pandemic. we have 25,000 fewer jobs than we did before the pandemic. Thankfully, we passed legislation recently led by our council president to include a $20 million jobs initiative to boost our economy and ensure that we attract good paying jobs to the county. And then Montgomery County. So thank you. All right. Now we will turn it over to our stakeholder engagement partners. My colleague will speak after Director Peter Fosselman, and just wanted to share a bit of information about why we're here and welcome you all to the Bethesda Chevy Chase Regional Services Center.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Sayles. I appreciate it. Can everyone hear me? Great. Well, I'm not as fast with my words as Councilmember Sayles and Council President Friedson are, so I have notes I have to read off of. But first of all, where did that picture come from? That's like, I wish I looked that young still, so that's great. Thank you. I appreciate the flattery. Yeah. So welcome, and thank you for joining us this evening. Again, I'm Pete Fosselman. I'm the Director of Regional Services here in Bethesda, and I just want to say that Councilmember Sayles and I have known each other for a number of years, and we started when we were both elected municipal officials in Montgomery County, and we have a wonderful relationship, and I'm really happy to be here helping her this evening and helping our staff. So thank you for the friendship that we've had for such a long time. I appreciate it, Laurie-Anne. Also, kudos out to Val and her staff for Councilmember Sayles. They've done an amazing job. I appreciate it. And I see that one of Council President Friedson's staff members is here, Angela Gear. So thank you for all of your help. And Angela and I actually live in the same neighborhood in Rockville. So shout out to my staff. Two of them are here this evening. Brandon Stuckey is here somewhere. He might be out at the table maybe. Brandon's got a purple shirt on, and he is our urban district manager. So he's the one that babysits the Pike District, babysits Bethesda Urban Partnership, or excuse me, the Bethesda Urban District, and babysits the Friendship Heights Urban District. So we appreciate all the work he does. And then my right-hand person, TJ Dant, is over here sitting on the counter. He is amazing. I could not do my job without TJ, so thank you both very much. So people say and ask quite often, what do you do at Regional Services? Like, what's going on? So our turf is pretty extensive. We're as far north as the city of Rockville, and some of my neighbors are here from the city of Rockville, so I appreciate that. And we go, of course, Bethesda, but in between we're the Pike District, North Bethesda, we're Twinbrook, we're as far over as all of the Chevy Chases, and then we're as far west as some of Potomac and North Potomac. And so we have a pretty broad geographic area, and we have a very large population. Roughly 262,000 people are in our turf, and we interact with them on a daily basis. Everything from if a pothole was not filled from our Department of Transportation, or even if it's in a municipality, we can help you get that done. We'll reach out to the right department and we'll make sure it happens. If you have someone in your family that needs mental health services and you haven't gotten the response you need, we'll make it happen for you. And it can be something small, just you've had an issue with the city of Rockville where I live and your trash getting picked up, something simple and you're having a problem with that. We'll fix it for you. We have a great relationship with the city representatives in Rockville as well as all of our other municipalities. Those communities cover, again, Bethesda, Cabin John, Chevy Chase, Friendship Heights, Garrett Park, Glen Echo, North Bethesda, Potomac, Rockville, and Twinbrook. We have 3 urban districts. I mentioned them before, Bethesda, Friendship Heights, and the Pike District, and I'll just touch on a few things that are happening in each of the districts. The Pike District, we have a summer series going on right now, and this includes concerts, classes, and our Bark Brew and barbecue, which is going to be happening in the late summer, early fall, and that's a really fun event. The first one was last year, and I brought my dogs, which is a lot of fun, and you get to drink some wine, some beer, or some soda, and it's really fun. They have live music, so look for that on our website or the Pike District Partnership website. You can find that information. Friendship Heights also has regular events going on. This includes mixers, public safety events, which are really well attended for business members and residents. They have safety sessions, Makers Mark, and festivals. Girls on the Run Camp, which is a partnership that we have with our Department of Recreation, which is an amazing program. And then other community happenings are always going on in Friendship Heights, and that's our newest urban district. Bethesda Urban District, which is where we're standing right now. Annual events, most of you know, are the Taste of Bethesda. We have the Santa Motorcycle Ride during holiday. We have the Bethesda Film Festival, and of course the Fine Arts Show, which happens every year here in Bethesda. And I invite you to join us in our next event that's going on soon, the National Night Out, August 6th. Right, Commander Dom? We're teaming up with District 2 Police Department, Commander Dom and her folks, and National Night Out, there are several around the county, but ours is going to be on Norfolk Streeter here, and we have a great venue for everyone going on. We have a bounce house, and I'll probably get all the, I don't have kids. The bounce house, and we've got some face painting, we've got some putt-putt golf going on. But the most important thing of that night is going to be to interact with our police officers and get to know your police folks, ask them questions. Commander Dom's going to let you sit in her police vehicle, right? Aren't you going to do that? Yeah, sure, yeah. And the Rock East District, a lot of people don't know about that. That's in the city of Rockville. That receives a grant from, I'm being told I have 1 minute, okay. Laurie-Anne, in my own building? Come on now. This is great PR for the county though. Rock East is a makers area that is off Goody Drive in the city of Rockville. And Mayorga Coffee, the Empanadas headquarters, both are there. Amazing places that have contracts and do sales to not only Whole Foods, but all kinds of places around the county. They're amazing, and Rock East is growing. Real quick, if you have an event in your neighborhood going on, if it's a small festival, if it's a block party, if it's an outing for kids, as long as it's open to the community, you are eligible for one of our grants that comes out of regional services. And it's not a lot of money, it's $1,000, but $1,000 goes a long way if you're having a community event. And so you can apply right through our office. I'm the one that reviews the applications, and it's a very simple one-page application. And I really encourage you to use this grant because the money is there. And thankfully, our county council members increased that amount of money today, or this for FY25, because there's a need for this funding. So. One last thing, we have recreation classes going on in the building, which is a new thing. We're trying to invigorate the building again because of COVID. A lot of places went down, kind of dead because of COVID. We've reinvigorated with classes for children, for seniors. We've got some cooking classes going to be starting. They're all happening here on this floor. And that also includes, we have some English conversation classes. Those are free. And those are great for folks that do not speak English as a first language. There might be new residents or just want to learn English. It's conversation, and it's amazing. And it's all volunteers, and they do a really great job. So my contact information is out on the table out there. And I'll thank you for coming this evening. I appreciate your investment in the community. So thank you very much.
Good evening. I am Andrew Friedson, privileged and honored to be able to represent this amazing community on the Montgomery County Council, the only place I've ever called home, and to serve currently as the council president. I want to express my appreciation to my friend and colleague, Laurie-Anne Sayles, for hosting this event and for bringing together so many community partners to talk about our young people and the future of our community. Our young people are facing so many challenges right now, and it's an all hands on deck approach that we need to take in order to meet the moment that we currently face. So I really appreciate her lifting up this issue, and I really appreciate her taking specific interest in our community and making sure that we were the last, but certainly not the least, of one of these important conversations. And I want to give a special shout out really to the community partners that are here. We have so many of the folks each and every day who are doing the work to lift up our community, to meet what Hubert Humphrey called the moral test of government, taking care of those at the dawn of life, the twilight of life, and in the shadows of life, the older adults, the youngest among us, and the most vulnerable among us. And so really appreciate that. We cannot do it in government alone. We require these nonprofit partnerships. We can't do it in county government alone. We require interagency agreements and interagency coordination and collaboration, and boy, do we need it now more than ever. I formerly served as the chair of the Collaboration Council for Children, Youth, and Families, and so the issues facing our adolescents and our children who are in crisis in particular and who are at risk is something that I care very deeply about, and something that I've tried to work at the council on. I chair the Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee, and that's the area that oversees the Parks Department and oversees the Recreation Department. Many of the programming and opportunities that we provide our young people, our after-school programming in particular, are run through the Recreation Department. And so we focus a lot in partnership with the Education and Culture Committee, working with the school system and the Recreation Department to figure out how we can provide after-school programs. The concept of being a destination kid, being a student who has a place to go after school. That's different, as we have talked in the committee, of being a decision kid, a kid who's faced with a decision each and every day after school. And unfortunately, too many of the choices for decision kids, kids who don't have a planned activity after school, are bad choices, sometimes bad, worse, and tragic choices. And it's our job to work together to make sure that we have as many destinations as possible for as many students as possible, to ensure that those terrible choices are not the only choices that our young people have to make. So we are working hard on that. I also have worked hard on the mental health crisis in the last council. We worked really hard, having no idea what we were up against with the pandemic coming down the pike, to expand the hours of operation for our crisis hotline. It's hard to believe now, but we didn't have a crisis hotline in the evening hours, at the time when our young people are most vulnerable, when they're most likely to have suicidal ideation, when they're most likely to be most at risk, to be most alone, to have least amount of access to a trusted person that they could go to ask for help. And that's when we didn't have the hotline. So we expanded into the evening hours. And then during COVID, thankfully, we expanded it into the morning hours, because we realized the time we thought they were going to be in school during the pandemic, they weren't in school. And so they didn't have access to those services. But yet we still have a lot more work to do when it comes to the mental health crisis facing our young people. And I've been working really hard in trying to build a future for young people so that they not only have after-school activities, but they see a future here in our community. We've been investing in climate because it's the future of the place that they're going to inhabit. And so we now have dedicated funding. It was $19.1 million in this last budget. It's part of the Green Buildings Now Act that I worked on, that ensures that we're helping to green retrofit to create healthier spaces and a cleaner environment for our young people. I've been working hard on affordable housing issues to make sure that they see a place for themselves to stay in the future and to live in our community, contribute to our community, but also that they have a place now, today, with their family as young people, so they don't have to be on the move as much and be disrupted in their lives as much as they currently are. In fact, one of the most significant pieces of legislation that I was able to work on last year was with Councilmember Sayles. We worked in partnership to expedite the time it takes to build affordable housing in our community, reducing the time by 75%, saving money and saving time to make sure that we have as much affordable housing in our community as possible. We've launched a $100 million housing production fund to have mixed income communities, to make sure that we have as many different types of people in as many parts of Montgomery County as possible, so that every single person, regardless of zip code, has access to world-class schools, world-class amenities, and the type of jobs that they and their parents and their families would rely on. We've been working hard as well on a housing preservation fund, a $50 million fund that we've been working on for years to preserve some of the naturally occurring affordable housing, to make sure that we have housing at various levels of affordability so that every family has a place here in Montgomery County. And I'm personally working on, hopefully at some point, having a true world-class recreation center here in our community in Bethesda. It's something that we lack. It's something that I have been working on. It's something that I hope that we will be able to deliver as a county government. And Laurie-Anne mentioned the Jobs Initiative, which she was a great partner on, which I'm very pleased that the council supported. One of the most significant economic development initiatives that we have ever done in Montgomery County, recognizing that we need to be intentional in the way that we grow our economy, and that young people are looking to see the vibrancy of the type of community that we're in, not just for their parents to have jobs, but for them to have jobs and for them to see a future here in Montgomery County. That's $20 million. There's a part of it for job creation, a part of it for innovation, and a part of it for founders' equity to make sure that we're reaching as many people with as diverse backgrounds as possible, and that we're investing intentionally in places that and in people that had been historically underinvested and underrepresented. So we're working really hard at the council. We passed a $7.1 billion budget. We added $26 million to the public school system, recognizing the need that we have in our schools. And yet we recognize that there is so much more work to do. And so in partnership with our local businesses, I see the chamber is here, partnership with our public safety. We have a great partnership between the Regional Service Center and the 2nd District, working together to make sure that in downtown Bethesda and in this area more broadly, we have not just a great place, but a safe space for our young people at all hours of the night. I feel very strongly that there isn't a problem that exists here in our community and in Montgomery County that can't be solved with the people that we already have in Montgomery County, the assets that we already have in Montgomery County. There is nothing that is wrong here that can't be solved by what is right here. And so I look forward to leveraging the collective talent and energy and commitment to our community that's in this room. I thank again my friend and colleague, Councilmember Sayles, for bringing us all together, and look forward to solving problems, to supporting our youth, and making sure that we're building them and our community a brighter and better future ahead. So thank you so much.
Thank you to Pete and Andrew, both really great partners in the community and on the council. All right, so now we are going to transition to our first panel, but before we do that, I would like to recognize a few special guests that are with us this evening. Thank you to our Board of Education member. I see Shebra Evans came in after we got started. Thank you so much for being here. We also have representatives from Delegate Mark Corman, Delegate Sarah Wallach, and Senator Sarah Love here this evening. So we left some materials here on the table. Please pick them up. Those are your District 16 delegates from representing you at the state level. And they, I don't believe, are another delegates here. All right. So our community safety panel will be making their way up. But before I highlight some of the steps that we have taken at the local level, I would like to acknowledge the fatal shooting of Sonia Massey in Springfield, Illinois. She was a 36-year-old black woman who called 911 for help and ended up being fatally shot to death by an Illinois police officer. If I can, I would like to take a moment of silence for her. Thank you. As you can see on this slide, here in Montgomery County, we want to ensure incidents like that do not occur. And we have taken numerous steps to promote and enhance community safety at the county level, ensuring that our community residents and law enforcement officers are kept out of harm's way. I would like to particularly recognize the work of the Police Accountability Board that was recently formed and the Advisory Commission on Policing, who help work with our law enforcement officers to ensure accountability and transparency in our criminal justice system. This past budget season, we increased the number of mobile crisis outreach teams from 5 to 7. The Crisis Center receives over 40,000 calls annually, and these teams are critical for providing mental health support. We also passed the late night business safety plan, which requires businesses that stay open overnight to develop a safety plan. We also provided a wage increase of $20,000 to incentivize police officers during a national shortage on police recruitment. We've allocated funding for the Drone as a First Responders program, which includes Bethesda, coming soon, Silver Spring, Wheaton, Montgomery Village, Gaithersburg, and Germantown. So without further ado, I would like to call up Commander Amy Daum, and a few folks will join her. We have Major Troy Plummer, come on up. We also have Chief John Nesky, and I believe Chief Smedley may join us this evening. All right. Okay. And so Commander Daum is the 2nd Police District Commander, and we'll hear from her first before she takes a seat.
Awesome, thank you. I'm kind of loud, Councilmember Sayles. I'm probably okay. Yes. Got it. So I'm going to be brief because I know there's a lot of public safety members who are here that would like to share some information. But the first thing that I want you to know, I'm Commander Amy Daum. I'm from the Bethesda District. What does that mean? That means we're everything on this side of 16th Street, down to the DC line, over to the river, up Falls Road, River Road in that area, all the way up Falls. We can cross over Montrose, Randolph, through parts of Kensington, and then back down around. So it's about 56.2 square miles and about 200,000 people. We work with one other jurisdiction within that area. That's the Chevy Chase Village Police, represented today by Chief John Nesky. But today's event is divided by our regional services directors, and Peter's area includes Rockville City Police, which is why they're also here. I want to talk briefly because we don't have a ton of time, and I have a whole lot of information that I want to give to you about what's going on here in Bethesda. When we talk about crime in Bethesda, I feel like sometimes when I go to community meetings, people think that crime level is rising. Here's the deal. If we compare this time of year to last time of year, I like to compare it quarter to quarter. Crime in Bethesda is actually down a little more than 18%, which is really, really good news. I actually think if I took the numbers out and broke them down, it's a little bit more. I'm going to tell you why. Our numbers for persons crimes, and I'll pause, that means things like robberies are very significant events that impact people as opposed to things, those are persons crimes, remain statistically stable in Bethesda and have remained about the same number for the last several years. What we're seeing a significant decrease in is property crime. Those are things like burglaries and thefts. I will note for a moment that we are seeing an increase in retail thefts, specifically in the downtown Bethesda area. And I have several police officers here who deploy specifically to address those types of incidents where we're working within businesses to address thefts that are occurring in our commercial establishments. One thing that we're seeing is a significant increase in crimes against society. What does that mean? This is actually something I'm really proud of because it means that our officers are out proactively and constitutionally policing quality of life issues within our communities. Our community has told us that they don't enjoy the overwhelming smell of cannabis in public areas. So we have police officers going out and educating, explaining to people that while cannabis has been legalized in some forms, it is not legal to smoke in our public places. So we have officers that are actively enforcing that. They're actively enforcing things like disorderly conduct in public places, and that's really good news. Couple more things that I want to encourage you to do because I know I only have a minute left. If you check out Montgomery County Police, How Do I page, you can learn more about our Drone as First Responder program that is coming to downtown Bethesda. Thank you to our Chamber of Commerce for our advocacy, to our County Council President Friedson, who is a huge advocate. That is a very important tool that is coming here to this community, and we are extraordinarily excited for it. Coming soon, mococonnect.org. Visit it. You can learn more about how to link up security cameras with the police department to provide critical information to events as they occur. And I will turn it over to who's going next?
So we are going to hear from Major Plummer.
Major Plummer. Welcome to the stage.
All right, I gotta look at my timer. Good? Okay. All right, Major Plummer, Rockville City Police. Good to see everybody. As Mr. Scott knows, we go through each community. We try to help them get a plan, safety plan according to their priorities. Of course, every community has different priorities. King Farm has different priorities than Twinbrook. But what I emphasize is there's three things that we need to recognize and we need to work on: awareness, deterrence, and response. So with awareness, we tell our community, look, you need to know your location. It doesn't matter where you go. You tell your kids, you're driving, you're in town center, look at the landmarks. If something happens, you need to know your location so you can report it. Also, pay attention to your surroundings. We see a lot of people in the town center, they're on their phone. They got both headphones in, they're walking across the street, they don't know anything that's going on. Know your surroundings, pay attention to your surroundings. We have pedestrian struck sometimes, so people walk with their headphones on a crosswalk and they say, I'm good, I'm walking through a crosswalk. How do we know that that person driving is not on their phone also? You're going through a crosswalk, pay attention, make eye contact with that person that's operating a vehicle. Deterrence. We do a lot of high visibility patrols at night, but we all know the bad guys aren't acting bad when there's a police cars riding through the neighborhood. So you have to deter it yourself sometimes, okay? You need to keep your lights on at night, front porch, back porch. Everybody should have a Ring camera, as Commander Dom's saying. The Ring cameras are good for us for afterwards when we show up. The police just can't be there everywhere in every community at all times. I can't tell you how many times I'm walking around and I run a call. I'll go through the shopping center or whatever. I'll look in somebody's car. There's a purse sitting on the seat. A purse on the seat with the wallet wide open. We have a lot of theft from autos. Don't help these people commit these crimes. Lock your doors. We got a lot of theft from autos. We take a report. People they either say they didn't lock their car or they don't know if they didn't lock their car. Keep it locked. And keep your car stripped too. Don't put things in there where people can look in there and they say, hey, I want that. In response, we have community engagement officers that go around to the community and they teach people how to respond to certain incidents. My time's up, but I have a list of the National Night Out participation locations. I'll leave it up here. And we're having another gun buyback on August 17th at Redgate.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Neske. I am the newly appointed chief for the Hard Knock area of Chevy Chase Village down the street. A little bit of a different pace than where I came from, which was Bowie. But we are a very small, tight-knit community. One of the strengths of our community is the interconnectedness and the engagement of our community. But again, we suffer from the same things, for theft from auto, people having bad habits of not locking their cars, or leaving key fobs in the car, or locking them but then leaving something that's visible, which means someone's just going to break the window to get in. So we all suffer from the same bad habits. So I can't encourage that enough. Ring cameras, doorbell cameras, they've been instrumental in helping us solve some things and get a quick response to some things that have been happening. I enjoy a very robust partnership with Montgomery County. They really help us out. Our bad guys don't care where boundaries start and end, so it's important that we share information. One of the things that we also do is be very proactive. We try to engage the community as much as possible. One of the things I've started since I've been here is teaching a women's self-defense class. We are in our second session right now. Next week is the last week. I'll probably be starting one up maybe April of next year. I do give our residents first crack at it, but if you are interested, all you have to do is contact the village, ask to be put on the waiting list, and when it comes up, I will be happy to, again, residents for first crack, but I never want to leave an empty slot, so I will go down the wait list and invite anybody who's on the list. So again, I probably should have ceded a minute or two to the other folks because I am done. But thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to meet people. Again, anything that I can possibly help with, please let me know. And again, our community is your community. We're all intertwined in one way or the other. So thank you.
Thank you again to our hard-working public safety officials, Commander Dom, Major Plummer, Chief Nesky, and Chief Smedley wanted to be here. He had an emergency call, so if he can join us. For those who are not aware, Chief Smedley was recently confirmed as our new police chief. He is the first fire chief who was not promoted from within Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Services and the county's first Black chief for Fire and Rescue Services. Thank you. And so now we are going to have our first table discussion. Hopefully you have acquainted yourself with your table mates. You've identified who is going to be the recorder and the reporter. And we have papers on the table with a pen and 2 questions. The first question: what surprised you the most about this segment of our community conversation? And then what else should we do to make communities feel safer and more welcome, with a particular emphasis on our youth? So we'll give you 5 minutes. We'll give you a 1-minute reminder when time will end, and then we will start calling on tables to report back. All right, thank you. All right, now we are going to transition to our second panel. For youth engagement, I wanted to recognize some of the highlights that we have already taken on behalf of the County Council. We will be joined by Mr. Steve Neff and Mr. Cross and Ms. Shaw. Before we hear from our stakeholders, we just wanted to highlight the increased funding that the county has made for youth harm reduction initiatives, comprehensively addressing youth safety challenges across county departments. We also supported programs like the Street Outreach Network, MCPS Summer Rise, and other initiatives to ensure that students from all diverse backgrounds have an opportunity to have engaging experiences during the summer months and school year. The Montgomery County State's Attorney's Office also had the Truancy Prevention Program, which aims to help students succeed inside and outside of the classroom. And so now we're going to hear first from Mr. Neff, Director of Pupil Personnel and Attendance Services at Montgomery County Public Schools. Let's show him a nice welcome. Thank you, Mr. Neff.
So thank you so much for having me. I think as you hear us speak, you're going to hear a through line between what I start and Mr. Crossa continues and Ms. Shaw kind of brings home around student attendance. So I'm going to start generally about student attendance. So Montgomery County Public Schools is continuing a multi-pronged approach to attendance. It starts with positive messaging around the importance of attendance. It continues with proactive and positive outreach to families when attendance becomes a concern. It involves the regular review and data of analysis of attendance data at the district level and at individual school levels. And it continues with interventions that are targeted to address the barriers that we know families face. And we saw results last year. We dropped the chronic absenteeism rate for the entire school system by 3% or nearly 3%. And what was interesting about the data is across our racial groups and across our service groups, thinking of students with IEPs, students in poverty, students who are emergent multilingual learners, those reductions were very consistent. But where we did not see consistency in our data, it was what Councilmember Sayles emphasized, at the beginning, is we made really good gains at the elementary level, over 6%, more modest gains, about 1.5% to 2% at the middle school level, and we were flat at high school. We even went up about 0.5%. And so we know that high school is where we need to focus our attendance efforts. And what we also know, because we know it from our experience and we know it from research, punishment doesn't work. So consequencing students with grades, consequencing parents with threats of fines or jail time, it simply doesn't work. It does not build, it breaks relationships. It doesn't build it. So we have to ask ourselves, what is it about what we're offering at our schools? What can we change so that we will make students, we can't make students go to school, but we need to make them want to come to school because how they feel and what they're experiencing. And you'll hear from a couple of my other colleagues some of the creative things we're doing, because high school as we know it is probably high school as you knew it, no matter how many years ago you went. It has not changed. And it is nothing like anything anybody faces once they get out of high school. 7 periods a day, 45 minutes, someone is up front mostly talking, and then you switch classes and do that 6 more times. So we need to find ways to be creative and engage students. And we also need to build relationships across our pre-K to 12 continuum with our families, because when we build those relationships, then we build the trust, and then they'll tell us what their barriers are. And once we know what their barriers are, we have great relationships with many partners in this room. We have a lot of resources within the school district. We can work with families to try to address those barriers. But if they don't tell us, we don't know, and they're not going to tell us if we don't build the relationships with them. And so you're going to hear from my colleagues a bunch of different ways that we're trying to sort of proactively engage, especially our older students, in ways that are different than everybody goes to college, because that's simply not true anymore. And there are also things that we do within my immediate office to try to engage students around student leadership. There are many, many student leadership opportunities within schools. Within student service learning, which is a requirement, students earn 75 hours over the course of their school career. They have opportunities to do volunteer efforts in areas that they are passionate about or interested in, and they have an opportunity to sort of test drive things through that student service learning. And then finally, we are looking to both continue and increase extracurricular opportunities. So we have our arts and we have our sports opportunities, and we need to look to do more things around clubs and other non-traditional ways for students to get involved in school beyond the 7:30 to 2:30 time frame, because both our local data and national data shows that students who are involved in at least one extracurricular activity, they attend school more regularly, they have fewer behavioral issues in school, and their grades are much better. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Kraza. I'm the supervisor for work-based learning in Montgomery County Public Schools. That includes internship and apprenticeship. And I'm at central office in the Department of College and Career Readiness and district-wide programs. As we were talking about with Montgomery County Public Schools, and as what was mentioned earlier, our focus is on helping our youth prepare for both college and career after high school. In fact, the state of Maryland has implemented a blueprint for Maryland to help us expand the way students prepare for careers. College being one option. With that focus, students have opportunity to take dual enrollment courses at Montgomery College. They can take advanced placement or international baccalaureate classes at their high school where they can earn college credit. And as Blueprint continues to develop and be introduced, students also have opportunity in career and technical education programs to access various different career experiences within our school buildings. In MCPS, we have 51 various different programs that students are able to access. We have 3 regional hubs. We have Thomas Edison High School of Technology, we have Gaithersburg, and we have the new Seneca Valley High School that is the up-county version of Edison. And so students are able to access a CTE program in their building that could be anything from engineering to medical to IT to graphic design, as well as law enforcement and fire science and rescue. It's important as a district for us to work closely with our partners. When we opened the brand new state-of-the-art facility at Edison, our police chief at the time felt like we needed students in the community. They're a part of our community, they live in our community, help them be aware of a career in law enforcement so they can also in time serve our community if they have an interest in going into law enforcement. For fire and rescue, we have students from 17 different high schools going to the Public Safety Training Academy. They, in grade 11, have opportunity to do Fire 1, and then in senior year, they have opportunity to do EMT. And so part of the CTE programming that we talk about, in addition to getting the coursework and the experience in the lab, they have opportunity to earn an industry-recognized credential. And that's part of blueprint planning as well. We want for students to have multiple ways to enter into a career and get that real-world experience. And then also we have the work-based learning component. As it was mentioned, Summer Rise is a great way for students to be introduced into a career in the summertime. And then we also have internship and apprenticeship that happens during the school year and during the summer. Internship is a great way for students, if they're going through a CTE program, to take what they've learned and apply it in a real-world setting with an employer, or they could do an internship as an elective. For apprenticeship is a great entry-level career opportunity, rethinking the traditional classroom and helping students basically begin working for an employer. Employers identify the occupation, how they're going to be trained, and then students work 450 hours for an employer. And this oftentimes sets the stage for a career and job opportunity after high school. One of our partners here this evening, Gapbusters, has an apprenticeship in IT. We recognize also that transportation is a factor, and we don't think that where a student lives in the county should impact their access to different opportunities. So transportation, rethinking work-based learning so students can virtually access opportunities. And then also I'd like to recognize WorkSource Montgomery. We work closely in partnership with them. This past year we introduced the career advisors. So they are working with students in both middle and high school to advise them on what career opportunities are available as they progress into grade 11 and 12, as well as after high school. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Vernell Shaw.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, I'm going to do this again. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, thank you. I shared last night that I'm a former English teacher, so I like a little call and response. It helps. Okay, so I am happy to be here tonight. I am part of the Division of Career and Post-Secondary Partnerships and Career Advising under the direction of Dr. Genevieve Floyd. And so out of those 51 programs of study, 3 of the programs I manage. One is the Academy of Health Professions, the other one is Arts, Media, and Communication, and then the one that I want to focus on tonight is Business Management and Finance. And so we have an amazing program that
is within 9 of our high schools within the county for business management and finance. And we could not do it unless we had the teachers to support and so forth, but also if to make sure that we have a PAC, which is a program advisory committee who helps support the efforts of the business management and finance programs. And so every year we host what's called our annual Business Pitch Challenge. And this is something that our schools work together, our teachers work together, our PAC members work together to support the effort, and our students actually compete. And so the end result is that they do win an award. And this past year, our students from Einstein won, and we were so proud. Somebody's clapping for Einstein. It's like, woo-hoo, yep. Okay, so Einstein won, and so I want you to listen to the term televators, okay, because if you hear that in the future, that's from our MCPS babies, okay, because these young men put this together and they won, and then they took their earnings from their winnings and actually opened up a bank account together so that they're able to begin building their business because they're going on to Montgomery College. And so the challenge is, it's like a Shark Tank type competition. And so they work together as a team, and some of them compete at the school level, and then the winners then come together and they compete between the schools. So every student who participates gets a medallion because we're MCPS, and we are going to make sure that we give rewards to all of our students. And then others, like I said, get the prizes and monetary gifts, and of course the accolades. Our program is right now in 9 different schools: Northwest, Gaithersburg, Magruder, Paint Branch, Kennedy, Blake, Einstein, Northwood, and Sherwood. And our students can take various pathways. They can do Academy of Finance, they can do Accounting and Finance, Business Management, or business marketing. And so this allows them to go into a particular pathway, which gets them onto college. And so my time is up, but just so that you know, we have, our PAC is always in need of support, whether or not you're interested in joining, whether or not you're interested in volunteering to come as a mentor or to come as a guest speaker to our students. If you are an entrepreneur, you could serve as a judge for something like this, and you can just work with our students, with our teachers to provide support. And as soon as I'm done, I'm gonna share these around the room as you are doing your table talk. There's QR codes. Please take a look at it so you can figure out how you can help our future business leaders of our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you again to our youth engagement panelists. We will now turn it back to the tables for another table discussion. Again, you have 2 questions to respond to. Please identify your recorder and your reporter. We will be calling on you in about 5 minutes, and we will give you a 1-minute warning. All right. So now we are going to welcome our final panel for the evening. We are going to be talking economic development. So we want to have our business and community partnership stakeholders join us at the front, and we will hear from them shortly. We have Mr. Anthony Featherstone, Executive Director of WorkSource Montgomery, Mr. Ali Williams, President and CEO of the Greater Bethesda Chamber of Commerce, and Mr. Kenneth Nelson, Director of Business and Community Outreach for Workforce Development and Industry Partnerships at Montgomery College. We can turn the lights down, please, so I can, yeah. We are now going to just give a few highlights about some of the investments that we have made in economic development in the county. As was mentioned earlier, there are 25,000 fewer jobs in the county than before the pandemic. And you heard Council President Friedson mention the $20 million special appropriation to create jobs and support businesses in the county. We also have partners like WorkSource Montgomery and the Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation, our local chambers, MCPS, Montgomery College, and the universities at Shady Grove, who are crucial to creating more job opportunities for our residents and youth. And so now we're going to hear first from Mr. Anthony Featherstone, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
So I want to thank Councilmember Sayles for putting on these community conversations, and to also not put me behind Reverend Nelson and Allie Williams right here. I appreciate going first. Anthony Featherstone, Executive Director for WorkSource Montgomery and our local Workforce Development Board. WorkSource Montgomery is responsible as the lead workforce organization in the county for ensuring we have a functional workforce system so we have the talent that our businesses need today and tomorrow. But one of the most important things that we do as we execute our first two priorities in building systems and engaging communities is to make sure that we are aware of everybody and what they do within our workforce system, whether it's us meeting with the business and referring them to the Greater Bethesda Chamber of Commerce or Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation, or meeting with a job seeker and making sure that they know that Gapbuster has one of the region's only youth build programs upcoming or forthcoming. We want to make sure that we have a system that's fully aware of what all the players are doing so that we can work together in serving our residents and businesses. And so we offer a lot of programs by way of, I think, youth engagement and youth safety. I will start with, I think, one of our flagship programs, which I think is really a leader throughout the state. And I want to give a shout out again to a Board of Education member, Shebra Evans, and all of our MCPS administrators here, because we've taken a big swing in approaching how we are developing our future workforce here in Montgomery County. And so we have a program called MoCo CAP, the Montgomery County Career Advising Program. And so it's a mandate, as Mr. Cross has said, from the Blueprint for Maryland's Future to provide career coaching to all middle and high school students. And so one of the things that we knew going into this was that we have the most 6th through 12th graders we have more 6th through 12th graders in MCPS than we have enrolled in certain school systems throughout the state. And so there's no way you can do individualized career counseling. Career counseling can't live in a moment. It can't live in a 1-minute meeting with the career coach. It has to permeate the school system. And so we've developed a program in partnership with Montgomery College and MCPS to add on to what's already being done to create career-curious schools where teachers are in the classrooms talking with students about their strengths, interests, and values, helping them identify what career themes. Are they realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, or conventional? And from there, we're talking about what industries and what occupations fit best with who they are, and as that changes as they progress through life, they're able to self-navigate. And so everybody, all of our young folks understand where they fit in the world of work. I have an uncle who found his first job, who's disabled at the age of 45, and it changed his life. And I always thought, how awesome would that be if he was able to connect to work when he was 19 or when he was 18 or so forth. And so that's just one example of the work that we're doing together to make sure that all of our young folks have a place and understand where they fit in the world of work. We offer a lot of other programs because I know my time is running short, but we have a program called LIFE, Launch Your Future Employment. And it's related to a lot of the youth safety work that the county is doing and has been doing for a long time. But one thing that we knew was that the days of asking a young person who's been justice involved or is justice involved to come to a workforce program and spend 6 months with you with nothing in return when they have obligations that they need to meet, which is generally why they are doing what they are doing, not because it's fun, because there's an economic gap that needs to be filled. This program, LIFE, Launch Your Future Employment, provides 14 weeks of paid learning opportunities where young folks do professional development, paid work experience, occupational training that culminates in a registered apprenticeship, going into the military, post-secondary education, or unsubsidized employment, and they get $450 every week throughout this 14-week process. So we have some skin in the game and showing them that we're committed to them. And we're not just selling a dream where you just need to put life on pause while you work with a workforce program for 6 months. So I could talk for the next 20 minutes, but I'm getting eyes and fingers right now. But James LeBlanc, our Director of Community Impact, is in the back. Raise your hand, James. But we'll be around, so we're happy to talk more about the work that we do and how we can partner. Thank you.
Anthony didn't really say, it's tougher to follow Anthony and all the great programs that he does. And we're glad that we're a partner with you. My name's Ken Nelson. I have a question for you. How many of you in this room know somebody that went to Montgomery College? Just show of hands. That's the partnership that we have in this community. We have several goals, but one that's critically important is to have an impact on our economic outcome, our social mobility outcome. Through our different training programs and our partnerships with our friends at the Chamber, our friends with WorkSource, and with you as your individual groups, we create an opportunity for transformation in our community. Not everybody has a silver spoon in their mouth in Montgomery County. Some people in our neighborhood, and it's just not, when I say our neighborhood, don't go by my color, go by this community. Some people live in a car, and they go to school. They pass courses. They get skills. They get correct credentials for whatever they need. And they do that because of this community who cares about advancement, this community cares about the human spirit being developed, and people working together to make that happen. One of the most phenomenal things about this county in comparison to the rest of the United States and anywhere else, this group in this room right now could create an innovative program to solve a problem for our county and our country because we got together and asked the question, isn't there a better way? That's the kind of power we have in this group when we get together and create partnerships that change. We have a pathway of progress. It starts with our elementary schools, our MCPS partnerships. It comes to Montgomery College, and then it goes with the universities of Shady Grove. We look forward to working with you. My time is almost up. If it isn't, I'm glad. I like to be ahead because this guy that's coming up next, he's one of my friends. He just loves me because he knows my wife, and he keeps me out of trouble.
Thank you, Reverend Nelson. Good evening, everyone. My name is Allie Williams. I'm the president and CEO of the Greater Bethesda Chamber of Commerce. Councilmember Sayles, it's an honor to be here, especially with these guys up here on stage. So really appreciate the opportunity. The Chamber was founded on April 1st, 1926. We are nearing our 100th anniversary. So I just want to kind of give you some idea of I call it Chamber by the numbers. We have 565 member organizations that are part of the Chamber, representing more than 100,000 full-time employees. We have a mission that is simply to support, inspire, and advocate for business to better our community. We have 33 very strong board of directors members. Commander Dom is one of those. We have 16 vibrant committees, everything from our next executives, which is our young professionals, to economic development, legislative activities, our health and wellness, just a whole slew of different committees that our members can get involved in. We have three amazing staff members, well, two amazing staff members and me, but my staff is absolutely the best that you can get. We have one powerful organization, one group that's been here, again, since 1926. The Chamber was founded, you all have driven up and down Tuckerman Lane, by Walter Tuckerman and three other people, and it was a phenomenal reason that they formed the Chamber of Commerce, and that was for two reasons, traffic and parking. Well, guess what? Nothing has changed in 98 years. We have 6 major events every year and dozens of other events that we either host or attend. We have great social media, so please make sure to follow us on social media. But the most valuable part of what I do as CEO of this organization is the relationships that I build with our community partners. So we have Montgomery College, MCEDC, the County Council, Councilmember Sayles and Council President Friedson, and the other amazing 9 members of the council. We have a very strong and powerful relationship with them. I always want to keep it that way. When I first started a little over 4 years ago, my goal was to really have a very strong relationship. We're going to butt heads once in a while, of course. We're the business community, and we hear from our members on pieces of legislation that they want to be active with. So we do, but at the end of the night, it's, I love you, I'll see you, we'll fight again tomorrow. So, but it's a great and powerful relationship. Bethesda Urban Partnership, the Bethesda Chevy Chase Regional Services Center, Fire, Police, Bethesda Cares, Nourishing Bethesda, and all of our schools. We have a lot of the W schools as high schools, soon to be Woodward, Walter Johnson, Whitman, Wooten, and BCC. So we engage with those principals of those schools and those administrators to really try to find solutions for youth and what we can do as a business community. We were very active in Summer Rise. I attended the closing ceremony today. For that, we've been active for the past 3 years with that program. So the Chamber's here. We're going to be here for another 100+ years. If there's anything that we can do for you as a community citizen, as a business, as our elected officials, as our appointed folks, our fire rescue, and everybody else, please never hesitate to give us a call. Again, we're here for you guys and appreciate the opportunity to share just a couple minutes with you this evening. Thanks.
Thank you to our business and our community partners who ensure that our economy remains thriving for everyone. So now we will transition to our final table discussion. If you are not at a table, please join a table before we finish the discussion. I saw 2 of my Smart Youth Advisory Council students here. I don't know if they're still here, but please join the table if you have not. Okay, this next table discussion has 2 questions. What partnerships do you see yield the greatest return on investment? The second question, what else should we do to make our youth more aware of our entrepreneurial pathways and job opportunities in our community and the state? And we also, Sophia is still here. She was also another Smart Youth Advisory Council alumni. Thank you so much for being here. We have to create a strong public service pipeline as well. We are term limited. I will not be here forever, so we need to train up the next generation of leaders who will run this county as smoothly as we are doing now. So you have 5 minutes on the clock. Please join your table mates, find a recorder and reporter, and we will check in with you to report in 5 minutes. Thank you, everyone. All right. Well, everyone, give yourselves a round of applause. We have made it to the end. This is our 5th and final community conversation. I just wanted to close out discussing the social return on investment. This is why we are having the community conversations, because we know that if we invest in our students on the front end, we will not have students who are susceptible to criminal activity, truancy, or all of the negative things that we started this presentation out with this evening. We have too many stakeholders, partners, resources, and organizations who are laser focused on our students' success. So there's no excuse for any of our young people to slip through the cracks, and it's going to take all of us ensuring that we continue to create pipelines of opportunity in this county, generation after generation, and we will do that all together. So thank you all again for joining us this evening. Please leave your papers on the table. Scan the QR code as well so that you can provide any feedback, any other resources, or any takeaways, any additional information you wanted to touch on to ensure that we make better policies moving forward and investments in the community. Thank you again to Mr. Fosselman for hosting us. Thank you, sir. And all of our panelists, if you can make your way up to the front, we're going to take a group picture and come to a close. Thank you.